जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we are continuing to read from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 7, Chapter 14. Does anyone remember what we read yesterday?
Hare Krishna. We
Hare
read that
Krishna.
by chanting in Kali, you can get the result that you get in Satyug by meditation or in Treta by Yagya. So in Kali, you get the equal results just by chanting. And
Yeah.
then you also told about that Vaishnavas is like a Chintamani, as wherever he goes, he converts others into devotees. And deity worship was introduced in Treta Yuga. So people would respect everyone. It was introduced then, and then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also uh, he did not establish any temple. This was a very important point that you mentioned, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not establish any temples as in Kali Yuga. The Sankirtan was very, very important, and he had instructed the Goswamis to establish the temple so that people can come together and chant together. By Sankirtan, they can get Krishna consciousness. And you also talked about the neophyte devotees, that in the neophyte devotees, they give all respect to deity worship and not to the devotees. Like they behave in a different way with the devotees, and they give all respect to the deities. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because they're the beginner devotees, so they don't know how to give respect to other people. They just think that, okay, God is there, I have to respect God, but not able to respect any other person. Yes, thank you. In the glories of the holy name. So it's so such a Krishna's arrangement. I was reading some stories which Prabhupada was saying in these few regards. Is it okay if I share them with you all? To these
Yes,
points
please.
that to the points that Neha just said, it's like so regarding the devotees, Vaishnavas. So because this is to show that how powerful the Vaishnavas are. We are praying Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu bhava cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah, right? We're praying that let I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnav devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone. They're full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. So Prabhupada was saying one story that how we should not have wrong desires in the company of, in the association of devotees. So there was once a man and he was chopping some wood in the forest. He was a woodcutter. So, chopping wood, hard work, right? Not easy. Now, of course, we'll say, oh, we have mechanical saws or whatever. But this is a story of the olden days. Anyway, he was manually cutting with his axe. So he was really very tired. So he was tired. He said, okay, I'm going to take a break. And he took a break under a nice tree. It was a very nice, had big branches, so a lot of shade from the sun. Looked like a very, very attractive tree. So he sat down there and he was feeling nice suddenly, sheltered from the tree. So he said that, I wish that all this wood that I have to cut today, it could just cut by itself. But suddenly what happened, his axe, it jumped up, cut up all the trees that he needed to cut and very neatly cut all the wood into small, how much, whatever pieces he needed and stacked it up very nicely. Ah. Then he said, oh my God, what happened? He realized this is a desire, wish fulfilling tree, Kalpa Vriksha. Then he said, wow, this is a Kalpa Vriksha. Then, okay, one desire after another. Okay, now what do I want? I want a beautiful woman. Ah, there came a beautiful woman. Now he has a woman. Now he needs a place to stay. So then he's like, okay, I need a nice place to stay. There he got a nice place to stay. Now, if you have a nice big place to stay, then you need servants to clean the place. So he wanted servants. Now, if you have so many servants and a big place, then you need money to maintain everything. Then he said, I want money. Then he said, okay, I want a big buffet, like a big opulent feast. Like this, he kept on thinking, I want this, I want that, and everything kept appearing in front of him. He was still sitting under the tree. Then it was getting dark. The sun went down. He said, oh, it's getting dark now. Usually, what happens in the dark, a tiger will come and eat me. Just at that time, a tiger came and ate him up. So Prabhupada was saying the story in the context that every desire, every devotee is like a desire tree, and we are associating with devotees. So we should be very careful around devotees. What kind of desires do we have in our heart? If we have material desires, then those desires will multiply too much. They will be fulfilled, they will be multiplied, but then it will cause a lot of trouble in our heart. Our heart, those anarthas which are there in our heart, instead of taking out the weeds, because the more we hear and chant, Lord Chaitanya used to say, when we are hearing and chanting, even the weeds are getting watered. The envy, the anger, the pride, all that is also getting watered. So we need to uproot the weeds. We have to be careful to uproot these weeds also which show up when we are hearing and chanting. So when we are in the association of devotees, then we should have a desire to advance in devotional service, engage in pure devotional service, you know. So just remember, because how just now Neha brought up that, Vaishnavas are like Chintamani, right? So they fulfill, like we say this prayer, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha. Vaishnavas are like the desire fish fulfilling trees. And then regarding the glories of the holy name, this story is in the Puranas. And so do you all remember the story of Ajamil,
Yeah, kind of.
right?
Yes.
Ajamil, yeah, right? He
Yes.
chanted Narayan at the end of his life, and the Yamadutas couldn't take him away. Now,
Yeah.
this
Yes.
story in the Puranas is showing even more mercy than Ajamil. How come that? So it seems there was this old man. He was sinful man. He was addicted to doing sinful activity. He was cruel also. He never did any pious activity, but he had seen the Vaishnavas chanting Hare Krishna. So now he's going to die. He's on his deathbed. Now, last minute, he's thinking, hmm, let me try chanting Hare Krishna. I've seen all the Vaishnavas do it. At least let me do it now, at least. So he called his servant. He said, come here, go to the market, buy some beads and come for me. Japamala. So the servant was like, you want Japamala? What do you want them for? Because the servant knew that this man was always criticizing the devotees. He was not interested in chanting, but now the old man said, see, I'm going to die now. I want to try. I want to chant Hare Krishna. So anyway, the servant went to the market. He looked for some beads, bargained also that he wanted a good price for the Japamala. Came back to the old man, but by the time he came back, the old man died. So now the Yamadutas came, said, okay, sinful man, of course we have to come, just like Ajamil's story. They were, they were going to put the rope around this man's subtle body. Then suddenly Vishnu Dutas came. So Yamaduta said, hey, Ajamil time, okay, he chanted Narayan. So that's why you didn't let us take him. This man was sinful, he didn't even chant. So now you cannot tell us anything. So what the Vishnu Dutta said that no, this we have come to take this man back to Godhead. You know why? Because he simply had a desire to chant Hare Krishna. So this is how strong the chanting of Hare Krishna is. The man didn't even chant, but he had a desire to chant. and the Yamadutas could not take him, and the Vishnudutas took him to Vaikuntha. Uh, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Powerful power of the holy name. Just as you said, right? That only chanting the holy name, it's true. Only chanting, the desire to chant also purifies one. And then there was another story, which it's a very nice, sweet story. Teaches the lesson, the value of humility. There was a king, and there was one king, and he saw a beggar was coming to his house. So the king said, okay, I'm going to have some fun. He told his servant, okay, you let this beggar come inside, and I'm going to make fun of him, okay? So the servant opened the door and the beggar came in. The king asked, what do you want? So the man, very humbly, very meek, he said, I just want some food, little food. So the king said to the servant, in the ear, he tells him that you pretend to bring some food. Don't actually bring, you just pretend. So, okay, servant said, fine. So servant told the beggar, okay, you sit down on the floor. He's pretending to lay down the banana leaf. And he goes out and pretends to bring a tray and put down the food like one by one article he's placing. And the king is like, okay, now eat. The king thought the man is going to get insulted, feel like, what are you doing? You're trying to insult me or something. So the man, also very humble man, very simple man, he didn't want to offend the king. So this poor beggar, what he did, also started pretending that he's eating and that he's enjoying the food. The king also got amused. So he said, it's good. You like the food? Beggar said, yeah, I like it. It's very good. Especially the samosas are very good. Then the king also said, okay, let me humor him more. He said, okay, well, what do you want more? So the beggar said, oh, it'll be nice to have nice to have a wife. So the king told the servant, okay, servant, bring in dancing girls. So then they pretend, okay, the dancing girls are coming. The king and his servant also are sitting in a way to see, pretending that they're seeing a performance. And then the king said, oh, you like this dancing? So the beggar said, yeah, they're dancing very nice. The king is like, yeah, no, they're dancing so nicely. Which one do you want for your wife? So the beggar said, oh, I like the sixth one. So the king is like, no, there are no six, there's only five. You can take the fifth one. Then the king is performing like a imaginary wedding for the servant. Yeah, actually, there's nothing, it's just invisible. Then now the king is telling him, okay, now that you're married, you go down the road, you'll see a palace there, and you can take one of the palace over there. So the beggar, was very humble, very simple man. So he said, thank you, my lord, thank you, your honor. And he left the house, left the palace of the king. Of course, there was no palace or anything for the waiting for the beggar. Seeing the humility of this beggar, the king had a change of heart. The king thought, I wanted to ridicule this person. Out of my pride, I wanted to make fun of him. I want to insult him. But he's so good natured. He went along that whatever I said, he never got angry. He never said, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you insulting me? He was very submissive, very nice person. So the king had a change of heart. And he told his servant, go bring this beggar back. And then the king told him, I am really pleased with your attitude. You went along with this joke, and I'm really, really admire that you're such a nice person. So the king told him, now you take nice prasad, told the servant, prepare a very big feast for him, also gave him a wife, also gave him a house to live in. So the humility, this beggar was so humble that it attracted the king's heart. So humility, a very important quality. how would we have reacted? Somebody's trying to, take advantage of us, or somebody's trying to insult us. We may get upset, or we may, get into an argument, or we may have some ill feelings. But there's lots to learn. There's beggars like keeping himself like very good natured. It's like, okay, whatever, so be it. No? What do y'all think?
True. The humility he had.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we may say, "Hey, what do you think you are? Who do you think you are? I have my own pride. I have my own self-respect. Why are you doing that to me?" But
Yeah.
so he attracted the compassion of the king, in fact. And he instead of only food, he also got a wife. He also got a house. So humility
Mm.
attracts everyone. Humility also attracts Krishna. Humility is a very, very good quality. And that's why Lord Chaitanya also says, be more humble than a blade of grass. In this way, we can chant the holy name. So, yeah. Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Let's begin with today's verse.
Yeah. So it's humility and your desire.
Humility.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. Humility and our desire, and chant the holy name.
Mm.
These are the three things that we have, the glories of the holy name, and glories of the holy name, and how the devotees, they are like desire trees. So we should have the right desire in association of devotees and be very humble, submissive, and meek to attract the mercy of the Supreme Lord, to attract the mercy of the devotees.
So the neophyte devotees, they only respect the deities, means they worship the deities, but they don't respect the devotees. Or
Yeah, they don't know how to respect the devotees because they are like neophyte, right? Just beginning. So we are just beginning. So we are like, okay, God is there only in the temple, and we may not know how to respect each other, not understanding that actually we are all part and parcel of Krishna, that Paramatma is there in each and everyone's heart. So in
so
that
this
way,
is Kanishka,
hmm?
right?
I'm sorry,
Kanishka.
Kanishta. That's right.
Kanishka.
Yeah, Kanishta. So we may offend each other, and that offenses, when we are making offenses to the devotees, that is what hampers our spiritual progress. It does not allow us to progress spiritually fast enough. Depends on what offenses we are doing. To that degree, either our spiritual advancement may be completely stopped, or it may slow down, because Krishna, he does not take the offense to the devotees very lightly. That's the first offense to the holy name, offending the devotees. So all the devotees should be respected. We should look at all the devotees as more advanced than us and respect them.
And then also, did yesterday did you read about the Madhyam also? Madhyam
Madhyam,
devotee? Yeah. Or no? Yeah.
not really. We
No.
didn't.
Oh.
We read about the Vaishnav, that
Yeah.
Vaishnav is already a Brahman,
Mm.
because he is not only understands that he is Brahman, but he also understands that he's servant of Krishna. So that's how he is higher than a Brahman or Vaishnava. Mm. Well, the Madhyam is,
Madhyam Adhikari, there are
yeah,
three, na?
yeah. So Kanishta is one who's only worshipping the deity. Madhyam
Yes.
Adhikari is one, he's more advanced. So he makes friendship with the devotees.
Okay.
He gives mercy to the innocent. He stays away from the atheist and the offenders, and he loves Krishna. So Madhyam Adhikari is one who can appreciate other devotees. He does not fight with them. Kanishta will end up fighting with the devotees. You know,
Okay.
so the Madhyam does not fight with the devotees, but rather appreciates them, encourages them, and in the association of other devotees also engages more and more in devotional service.
And he
Gives
preaches. I
preaches. He's
think,
the
right?
preacher. That's how he's giving mercy to the innocent. Yeah.
Okay.
And he does not get into arguments or discussions with people who have opposing philosophies. He stays away from that. Controversies, all that. He just stays away. Stays away
Oh,
from the atheist. And then, of course, the Uttama, the first class devotee. First class devotee, just by looking at him, one starts chanting. And he's, on the highest platform, he's seeing everyone as part and parcel of Krishna. And he sees himself as the lowest, that I have no love for Krishna, that everyone else is serving Krishna, but I have no love for Krishna. He's so humble, very humble. But sometimes the Uttama Adhikari will also come on the Madhyam platform to be able to preach. Because the Uttama Adhikari, he sees everyone as devotee of Krishna. So he sees that everyone is serving Krishna. But just for the sake of preaching, he may come down and engage, like to give mercy to the innocent. So he comes to the Madhyam platform.
okay.
So, yeah, so then Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama. So the idea is that, we may begin devotional service, but we continue to hear and chant, associate with the devotees, make friends with the devotees, avoid making offenses. Gradually, we can also advance, at least come to the Madhyam platform to appreciate others, other devotees, to preach to the innocent. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Nanva asya brahmana rajan.
Nanva asya brahmana rajan.
Rajan.
Krishnasya jagadatmana.
Krishnasya
Krishnasya jagat
Jagatmanaha
atmanah.
Punanta padar rajasa.
Punanta
Punantah
Padarajasa
padarajasa.
Trilokim devatam mahat.
Trilokim
Trilokim
Devatam
devatam
Mahat.
mahat.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear King Yudhishthir, the Brahmanas, especially those engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord throughout the entire world, are recognized and worshipped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the heart and soul of all creation. The Brahmanas, by their preaching, sanctify the three worlds with the dust of their lotus feet, and thus they are worshipable even for Krishna. As admitted by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 1869, Nacha tasman manisheshu kaschin me priya krittamaha. The Brahmanas preach the cult of Krishna consciousness all around the world, and therefore, although they worship Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord also recognizes them as worshipable. The relationship is reciprocal. The Brahmanas want to worship Krishna, and similarly, Krishna wants to worship the Brahmanas. So Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that those who give this knowledge to others, they are very dear to me. In Bhagavad Gita 1869, he's saying this is how we can become dear to Krishna, by giving knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to others. So the Brahmanas, Krishna is very dear to the devotees. The devotees love Krishna, so they want to glorify Krishna. We love someone. Suppose our child has done very good. So we'll go around telling everyone, you know, my child is this, and he's so good, he's so good, he's so good, he did this, he did this. Because there's love, there's attachment. So the devotee, he loves Krishna. So he's telling everyone about Krishna. And because he loves Krishna, Krishna is also loving him. It's a reciprocation. So the devotee is worshipping Krishna, and Krishna is worshipping, he's recognizing his devotee as worshipable. That's how Krishna is saying that those who are my devotee are not actually my devotee, but one who is a devotee of my devotee is my devotee. Or like Lord Shiva is saying, right, that the highest worship is worship of Lord Vishnu, but higher than worship of Lord Vishnu is worship of his devotee. This is coming at Padma Puran. I think we read this yesterday when Parvati Devi is asking Lord Shiva what is the highest form of worship. So Krishna, although he's the Supreme Lord, he wants to give all glory to his devotees. He worships his devotees. He wants the full world to worship his devotees. The Brahmanas want to worship Krishna, and similarly, Krishna wants to worship the Brahmanas. In conclusion, therefore, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas who are engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord must be worshipped by religionists, philosophers, and people in general. At the Rajasuya Yagya of Maharaj Yudhishthir, many hundreds and thousands of Brahmanas were present. Yet, Krishna was selected to be worshipped first. Therefore, Krishna is always the Supreme Person, but by his causeless mercy, he recognizes the Brahmanas as dearmost to him. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 14th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Ideal Family Life. So Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He was selected to be worshipped first in the Rajasuya Yagya. And Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that one who speaks about, who gives this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to others is most dear to me. He's the most worshipable. One who is a devotee of my devotee is most worshipable. That person is really my devotee. So Krishna is giving the highest glory to his devotee. Any comments, questions?
You know, this title, Hare Krishna, the title Ideal Family Life, I was thinking it should have been Path to Spiritual Advancement. It's so perfect to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, yes, Narad Muni is giving us good instructions in this chapter. Chant the holy name, chant the holy name with humility and preach the glories of the Lord. So we'll stop here then.
Yep.
Yeah. Tomorrow we can instructions for civilized human beings. We can go on with that tomorrow. That's the last chapter of this canto. Then we'll go on to canto 8. Okay. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shla Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.